Now that I am pretty well settled here, we'll endeavor to write you the highlights of my activities to date. After leaving Salt Lake City that night on the California Zephyr, I went to bed and slept like a log. The next morning, I rose early and enjoyed a fine breakfast in the dining car. Then I went to the Vista Dome car, looked out on the beautiful rolling countryside of western Nevada with its green, fertile valleys. Mile after mile glided swiftly by as we climbed upward and onward toward the Sierra Nevada. Well, it seemed no time at all until we were in California and rolling down the Feather River Canyon. The California Zephyr follows the picturesque Feather River as it winds its way through wooded canyons. From the dome, the glare-proof glass added a warmth of color to the turbulent river below. Yes, it looked like good fishing water to me. I was a couple of days ahead of time anyway. I heard a fellow say he was getting off at one of the many resorts along the river. This must be the place. I made up my mind in a hurry, found my baggage, and when the train pulled into the station, off I got. The inn was a beautiful place, a huge main building with modern hotel facilities, club rooms, a lounge, and spacious dining room. From the wide verandas were rustic board walks that led to luxurious cabins, overlooking an 18-hole golf course. There's a swimming pool also, but I didn't go in. One of the guests loaned me an extra fishing outfit, and off we went to outdo Isaac Walton. On our way, we crossed vast fields of lupin and other wild flowers growing in profusion. Some of the guests from the inn were gathering bouquets. Against the law? No, not if you are on private property and have the owner's consent. Later that day, my friend took me to an old ghost town called Johnsville, guarded by the snow-capped peaks of the Sierra Nevada. Old houses stand as a grim reminder of bygone days. What's this? I said to my friend. A post office and general store? I guess his customers must be ghosts. Then the storekeeper, who is mayor and chief of police, came dashing out with the fire wagon. Wonder if that's the fire chief bringing up the rear. False alarm. We went back to see what the store had to offer. Early the next morning, the Feather River seemed like a magic mirror as it reflected the diesel-powered freight. The Western Pacific Railroad is one of the main transcontinental lines that haul California produce to the eastern markets. Reluctant to leave, yet eager for new adventures, I found myself back on the train, and westward down the canyon we rolled. Across bridges, and trestles that span mighty canyons over the roaring river far below. The Western Pacific Railroad does not exceed a grade of more than 1% in its entire main line. To maintain this ruling grade, the famous Williams Loop makes a complete circle 9/10 of a mile in circumference. A long freight train would pass under itself through this tunnel. Mile after mile, the California Zephyr follows the winding 118-mile canyon. The Feather River was originally named Rio de las Plumas in 1820 by Don Luis Argüello and his band of Spanish explorers because of pigeon feathers floating on its surface. As I watched the ever-changing panorama from our comfortable diesel-powered train, it brought to mind that this was a far cry from those early pioneer days when that remarkable adventurer and trapper, James Beckwourth, guided his wagon train through this rugged country. Well, so much for the Feather River Canyon. Reaching the Sacramento Valley, the Zephyr gathers speed. Swiftly and smoothly, we whiz by miles and miles of vineyards, more miles of rice fields, through orchards, and then Sacramento, the state capital of California. Not far from Capitol Park is Sutter's Fort, erected in 1839 by Captain John Sutter. Within the original adobe buildings, now preserved with stucco, I saw relics of early-day California. Prairie schooners, stagecoaches, and mining pans used by the gold seekers of 49. Even the saddles and spurs used by the heroic Pony Express riders. As this was my first scheduled business stop, I did not have an opportunity to see more of Sacramento at this time. After a short business meeting, I boarded another Western Pacific train that made the 135-mile trip to Oakland. All passengers for San Francisco board the ferry boat at Oakland Pier. Before us loomed the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. This magnificent structure of steel and concrete is 8 miles in length, and its lofty spans reach 216 feet above the water. Then the world-famous ferry building with its tower and huge clock. The first thing anyone should do when visiting San Francisco is to motor up Twin Peaks. Here the city spreads out in a panorama of grandeur. Oakland, Alameda, and Berkeley across the bay seem like miniatures. On the way down, we see San Francisco's typical hillside homes, their vari-colored roofs reflecting the California sun. At the foot of Twin Peaks is Mission Dolores, founded in 1776 by Father Junipero Serra. No nails were used in its construction. The wooden beams of the arched roof were tied together with leather thongs by Indian workmen. Here's Market Street, the bustling activity of business houses, of pageants and parades. The City Hall is modeled after the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. The Municipal Opera House, where world delegates worked out final details of the United Nations organization. Nestling among the skyscrapers is Union Square, a landscape plot that has a twofold purpose: a park on the surface, and underneath a 4-story garage with a capacity of 1,700 cars. This is the equivalent number of cars that would ordinarily be parked on 125 city blocks. In the center of the square is the Victory Monument, commemorating Dewey's victory in Manila Bay. Across from the square and along the sidewalks are numerous flower stands, at which the passerby can inexpensively have his choice of a variety of blossoms every month of the year. I was amazed and amused by the cable cars. Old-fashioned, yes, but sentiment of the San Francisco people will not let them be replaced by more modern transportation. The cars are turned around bodily by the crew before starting their journey up the hill again. Many shoppers and workers depend upon these quaint little cars every day, and you can be sure they delight in them quite as much as the stranger. I found myself aboard the next car, and up we climbed the Powell Street Hill. And over the top and down to Fisherman's Wharf, the embarking and landing point for the city's many Italian fishermen. Brightly painted fishing boats arrive with their catch, while others lazily tug at their moorings. Dozens of restaurants line the pier where the visitor may eat broiled crab and a variety of other seafoods, with the assurance that his favorite fish was swimming in the blue Pacific a short time before. In the distance, I could see Alcatraz Island, the world's most feared prison. The swift current that flows around this island, called makes escape almost impossible. From the outer pier, I saw a huge freighter loading cargo to be transported to foreign ports far across the vast Pacific Ocean. Further along the waterfront, I saw many sailboats skimming along in the morning breeze. San Francisco Bay, with its many sheltered coves, is a mecca for the boating fan, whether he has a palatial yacht, a sailboat, or an outboard skiff. A passing boat aroused my curiosity, and I was informed it was the steamship General Cox, an excursion boat. Yes, you guessed it. I was aboard on the next trip that same afternoon. The boat heads west to the Golden Gate Bridge, connecting San Francisco with the counties to the north. The main center span is 4,200 feet in length and is the longest single span in the world. Along the Marin County shoreline are many picturesque homes for those who like a suburban atmosphere. Many are on the mainland proper, others on peninsulas, and some of the more exclusive are built on secluded islands lying just off the north shore. We double back across the bay again and view the city's skyline from another angle. Then, under the Bay Bridge, it has 6 traffic lanes on the upper level. The lower deck is for trucks, buses, and suburban electric trains. Then to Hunter's Point, the Navy's huge ship repair yard and dry docks. A commendable record was made here during World War II. The 209 ships serviced and 661 dry docked for complete overhauling at this shipyard is a matter of pride to Hunter's Point naval and civilian personnel. We cruised on down the bay for a while, then circled back. As our steamer swung around McGrath Hill, we could see Coit Tower Memorial reflecting the setting sun of a day well spent. Then we could see the Golden Gate again, more golden than ever before. Then came the night of nights, a mammoth electrical pageant. Market Street was transformed into a 3-mile-long stage. There was frolic and fiesta. King Carnival reigned supreme. A great world city, as if by magic, changed from commerce to revelry, from music to laughter. The pageantry of old Spanish days was relived again. San Francisco is noted for its many parades and street carnivals. Always the Chinese take a part with elaborate banners, floats, and costumes. And then more gorgeous displays, a veritable fairyland of scintillating color. The Western Pacific entry won first prize. Remember, I came to California on this railroad. Well, the following Saturday afternoon, the boss and his wife invited me to take a weekend trip with them. We drove south down the peninsula, and our first stop was Palo Alto and Stanford University with its arches and pillars built of buff sandstone and red tile. The Memorial Church is another beautiful edifice. The rearest is a mosaic reproduction of Da Vinci's Last Supper. The Hoover Library on War, Revolution, and Peace contains 5 million documents, books, and secret reports of the World War I period. From Palo Alto, we drove on south to the University of Santa Clara. The Spanish-style buildings form a series of quadrangles. Colorful flower gardens add more beauty to the grounds. Mission Santa Clara, a reproduction of the original mission founded in 1777, contains many historical relics of early California. From Santa Clara, we headed west over Rock Ridge and descended into California State Redwood Park. In this big basin area, with its shadowy depths, giant cinnamon brown redwoods lift their spire-shaped green crests as high as 300 feet toward the azure blue of the sky. Many of these giant Sequoia sempervirens grow to a diameter of 26 feet. The boss called these patriarchs of the forest God's first temples, old when those of ancient Greece were still unbuilt. Youngsters delight in feeding the deer that roam among the trees. I went for a swim in one of the small lakes hidden among the groves of towering redwoods. These unusual swimming pools are fed by crystal clear streams that meander through the wooded undergrowth of fern and shrub. After my refreshing swim, we all went to Brookdale. There, under the shelter of forest giants, we had dinner in a novel inn where a babbling brook ran directly through the dining room. Then we spent a restful night in the secluded serenity of this woodland paradise. The next morning found us heading east again, this time around the lower end of San Francisco Bay and north to Mission San Jose. The mission was first built of timber roofed with grass and later rebuilt of adobe. It was one of the most prosperous of the 21 California missions. Strategically situated, this mission was a starting point for explorations and for punitive expeditions against the Indians. Our next stop was Oakland, and we viewed the skyline from across Lake Merritt. This is a saltwater lake a few blocks from the business district. The tides from the bay are controlled by hydraulic gates. At Berkeley, we stopped at the University of California. The Campanile, visible for miles, predominates the campus. Leaving Berkeley, we boarded an auto ferry and crossed the bay to Marin County and drove west on the last lap of our 2-day trip. Mount Tamalpais is a familiar landmark. At the foot of this historical mountain is Muir Woods, only a half hour from the heart of San Francisco. Then, across the Golden Gate Bridge, we parked near the base, where we could marvel at this engineering achievement. The world-renowned Cliff House, perched on a bluff overlooking the sea. Offshore and battered by the waves are seal rocks. From a lookout platform, a closer view of these jagged rocks reveal hundreds of seals basking in the sun. An old Dutch windmill marks the western entrance to Golden Gate Park. The park contains over 1,000 acres and was created from bare sand dunes. Dozens of artificial lakes make boating possible for young and old alike. The Oriental Tea Garden is an authentic reproduction of an original in Nippon, with its huge shrines and altars. In and around the thatched tea houses, rice cakes and tea are served by girls dressed in native costumes. I saw a squirrel that wasn't nutty. It ate rice cakes. Our tea and cakes were but an appetizer for the real dinner we were going to have in San Francisco's famous old Chinatown. This is the largest Chinese settlement outside of the Orient. The pagoda roofs and iron grill balconies appear side by side with American tin roofs and straight fronts. The old Chinatown of opium dens, underground caverns, and slums has given way to law and order. Today, it is a section of restaurants, smart shops, and bazaars that sell silks, jewelry, and jade. At one end of Chinatown stands the statue of Sun Yat-sen, the Chinese savior. Across the street is a red brick structure of Victorian Gothic design, Old St. Mary's Church. Material for this edifice was brought both from the Orient and around the Horn. Observe the time I did, and from my hotel window I could see the golden glow of the setting sun reflecting all the glory of another day. I could go on and on with this lengthy letter, but it would only be a prelude to the many things to see and do around San Francisco. Now my thoughts turn from reality to romance, and especially to you, sweetheart. My promotion here assures our future. I like this part of California, and I know you will too. So, as a solution to our geographic dilemma, I am enclosing a ticket on the Western Pacific Railroad. Hurry as fast as you can. I'll be waiting for you with the preacher.